Hi, my name is Ann Collins, and I am a therapist at the Cabin in Westfield. And I wanted to take a minute today to talk about collective grief. That is a grief that we're all experiencing today as a nation, as a global society. We're all experiencing it all over the world, this collective grief. It usually happens after a natural disaster, after a war, after an act of terrorism. Today, it's the coronavirus, this virus that we're all fighting together and that we're all making sacrifices for. And we're experiencing these stages of grief throughout this process. Grief isn't always loss of a person. It can be a loss of many things. It can be a loss of normalcy. It can be a loss of the ones that we love, our normal routine, things that we're looking forward to. So grief comes in many ways. It also comes in stages. So they often talk about the 5 stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance, and depression. Depression and acceptance being the last one. It's important to know first that we don't move through these stages 1 through 5. We move through them 1 to 2. Maybe we skip to 4, we come back to 3, we go back to 2, and then maybe we're at 5 one day, and then we move back to 2. It's just emotions are not this perfect prescription of how things look. It's something that's constantly moving and going back and forth, and that's okay. And that's okay to acknowledge and give ourselves grace every day for maybe we feel angry today, maybe we're at a better place the next day, and then the next day maybe we're feeling a little down. That's completely normal and something that we're all going through together at this point. But also I wanted to mention the 6th stage of grief. This was added later after they did a lot of research on grief, and it's called finding meaning. So we don't only have to accept the grief, but we can find meaning in the grief too, and that often helps us to heal. And so the finding meaning part is looking at, what is upsetting us? What are we feeling sad or angry about? And how can we take action to find the meaning in that? Where is that meaning for us? And that looks different for everyone. And so that can look like, my heart is hurting for the healthcare workers. So I'm going to find the meaning there, and I'm going to write them a letter and let them know how important they are and how much we appreciate their work. Or I'm going to reach out to someone who I'm missing and make sure they know that they're loved. Or I'm going to drop off, a present on their doorstep. Or I'm going to, draw them a picture or make them a sign. It can look at like so many different ways, and it's very cool to see how creative people have gotten to find this meaning. But I think focusing on the finding meaning part is important. There's a great quote that I wanted to read. When you do something for others, it reminds us we are all a part of the human experience. And I think that's so important because we are in this pandemic. We're all going through this human experience together. And so how can we find meaning in that and acknowledge that human experience? Because there is no right or wrong here. We're all kind of just trying to cope as things happen, and there is no handbook for how you handle these situations. So making sure you're just naming it, acknowledging it, giving yourself grace throughout the process, and trying to find the meaning. Focus on finding the meaning. I hope you're all staying well. Thank you.